Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. Today is Thursday, March the 12th. And we are still at war with Iran.
Oh, you think that's going to end soon?
No. Well, here, why ask me? We can just ask our fearless leader, our commander-in-chief, President Trump, who in the same day said the war is nearing an end. And then later that same day tweeted out, nah, bro, I was just kidding. We're at war forever. Nana nana boo boo. Or something similar. Cool. I don't know exactly what it was, but he literally contradicts himself.
That sounds fun.
In the same day.
Yeah. I saw him two different interactions with reporters, one of which someone asked him a question and he snapped on them and called them nasty. It happened to be a woman. And he said she was an awful, disrespectful reporter. And then a guy leans over and is like, hey, you just said a few minutes ago that it could be a cruise missile from somebody else that killed that school, that blew up that school, that killed all those kids. What do you mean? Does somebody else have, like, do other people have our cruise missiles, basically, is what they said. And he's like, yeah, some people can get them. And he's like kind of hemmed and hawed and backed down. It was kind of, this reporter kind of like shoved it in his face and made him eat it. And then he didn't really say anything afterwards. So it's like, I think, I think he's intimidated by dudes. Obviously, he's very intimidated. I think he's intimidated by women too, but he just shows aggression to them, right? I think he's intimidated by women, but he shows aggression to them. But I think he doesn't do that to some dudes because he's just such a weak,
he's such a wimp.
Human being.
Yeah, he's such a little wimpy bitch. Like, what's so unbelievably clear is they don't even have like a set of win conditions that they've established for what they want. I think they thought they could just like bomb the regime and then the regime would just fold.
Sure.
And there's literally no reason to think that because it's never happened one time ever in all of history that an air war has turned over a regime without boots on the ground. So, and Iran is like fucking, like Iran's bigger than Great Britain, France, Spain, and Germany put together. It's 636 million square miles with 92 million people. You're not going to bomb that into submission from the air. And I think he genuinely thought he could. And like, they just replaced the supreme leader with the supreme leader's fucking son, who is like this like reclusive, apocalyptic guy. Like I was listening to a whole like long form podcast about this guy. Very little is known about him, except for that one, he didn't do a whole lot of good religious studiings. So like for the guy who's supposed to be the head of a religiously led, he's not really qualified for it.
Not qualified is sort of the key of the day, though. That is sort of like, that's definitely a theme.
Like we're just like, oh, let's shake hands with that. That's fine. We actually none of us are bothered by that.
Give him a position in Trump's cabinet.
But like, you could be the defense or
he's the
DHS secretary. It's fine. We're running through those like crazy.
Head of health and religious services.
You could fuck Corey Lewandowski. They all do. Everybody gets a Corey Lewandowski. It's fine. But like this guy evidently is like one, not particularly religiously competent, but his religious leanings are all apocalyptic. Mm-hmm. That's not good. Like we didn't create change. We got rid of an old guy who was like a religious fucking apocalyptic nut. And we replaced him with a younger version of himself.
A younger zealot.
Right.
Like why? Like what's the benefit?
What are we like? There's no end game, dude. I don't understand how, what I have to think is that at some point we'll just keep doing the same shit until Trump gets bored and arbitrarily declares mission accomplished. And the lesson we will have taught Iran and the rest of the world is, if you don't want this to happen to you, you better get nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do it to North Korea.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that.
Sure.
So like all we've done is made the world less, like vastly less secure and spent billions, tens of billions of dollars already.
Yeah. And this is a guy who campaigned very specifically on no wars.
Yeah.
Very specifically, people in his cabinet were talking and tweeting about how Kamala was going to get us into World War III, that it was guaranteed that there was going to be a World War III with Kamala. And now it's Trump who's basically, I mean, in a year in,
right,
he's basically thrown out that principle 100%. I mean, he did it before then anyway, but it's not great.
No,
it turns out
it's
not
so
great,
bad, man.
Not great. I think, there's a story that we might cover too about Cuba. And that's another thing too, is that they're now looking at Cuba. I just think what I think he wants to do is he saw the places when he was a kid that were the places that he thought were the enemies of America. And he's gone out of his way to be like, well, I'm going to show them and I'm going to use some bombs and drop them on them or economically strangle them.
Yeah.
To show them that I'm the powerful guy and that America, like, I think he has like an idea of what America is and doesn't understand any of the changes that have happened in the last 50 years.
And no understanding and no respect whatsoever for the complexity of like a different geopolitical environment than what he grew up in.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I think that what he has in his stupid, tiny little mind is what makes a president memorable over time, right? Yeah. It's like, well, we all remember, when we bought Alaska or when we like brought in this territory. So I'm going to get a territory. Canada. No, nobody wants it. Greenland. I think he's trying to do the things that somebody with a high school degree or a high school understanding of history would think that a great president does. Well, what does a great president do? Well, they lead a country through a war. They acquire a massive territory and add it to the American, landscape. Put a star on the flag. If he can do these things, I think that's his posterity. He'll be remembered as one of the great presidents. But like, this is a fucking 1950s understanding of the world.
I think the other thing that nobody seems to be talking about is that human beings live over there.
Oh my God,
and those human beings get murdered by us.
I know.
Or they have to live in, cancerous conditions because of us.
Oh, I know.
And we have to, destroy their livelihood and make them unsafe and make them anxious and make them afraid. And they're getting it from two sides because maybe they oppose the old regime, but now they just replaced it with, the old regime is now the new regime.
Yeah. Second verse, same as the first.
Exactly. And so now we're dropping bombs on them, but then they can't trust into their regime and we're attacking them. I mean, imagine just if you were just a regular person living over there. Right?
It'd be a nightmare.
How fucking nightmare. And how many people did you say? 90 million people,
92 million, yeah.
90 million people live over there. Yeah. Now, and there's also, a lot of people like to show the people over here dancing in the street when that guy died, when Khomeini died, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody was showing look, Trump did a good thing because obviously someone liked it. So he did a good thing and they were trying to push that narrative. But genuinely, we're over there destroying their country.
Yeah.
Right? You're destroying their country. There might be some happy people over here, but those people aren't over there.
Oh, I know.
And that's 92 million of them versus 100 people on the street dancing and screaming and shouting. That's it seems like a big disparity to me.
Big difference, man. And like, I think that there is a sense of, for a lot of people that were definitely oppressed by the Iranian regime, in the initial stages, they might have thought, okay, like if there can be a forced change, we would like there to be a forced change. And maybe they would be willing to suffer some, consequences in order for that forced change to occur. But like, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So they're not going to get the thing, but they are going to suffer. And they're suffering terribly. Like these oil facilities have been bombed all to shit, so there's fucking like black smoke and fucking acid rain. It fucking looks like fucking Armageddon everywhere now. Like people are dying. Children are being blown up by the scores and, their schools. It's a horror show. And the Iranian people are not going to be safer when this is over. They're not going to be freer when this is over. They just have a new despotic leader. Yeah. And now death. Now a lot of destruction and death.
They have a new despotic leader and we killed their kid.
Yeah.
So now what?
Right.
Now
and
what?
destroyed their economy and their cultural heritage sites. And,
so what now? What did you fix? What did you do that fixed anything? And you spent a bunch of money and it's all just because you're a narcissist.
That's it. It's to please one fucking shitty person. This story's from the Huffington Post. U.S. may have committed war crime in the sinking of Iranian ship. The Geneva Conventions say nations have a duty to take all possible measures to help rescue victims of shipwrecks. A U.S. submarine left that to Sri Lanka.
Nice.
That's great.
Nice. I saw this happen the day it happened, and Hegseth is like creep about it.
What a ghoul.
Like a creepy
Silent
fucking
death.
psycho about it. And this was like fucking musicians on a ship. It was like people who were going for a not a celebration, but certainly it was like a practice day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bring your kid to work day, essentially.
Right.
They're just going there, and we participated in it too. And then as soon as they left and went into national orders, we blew them up. And there's literally nothing from this administration that's like, they're like, well, absolutely, we'll fucking blow them up. Absolutely. No problem. We're going to do it. I mean, these are people who are just committing war, just like how they were blowing up people in our more local waters from Venezuela.
Yeah.
Committing war crimes. They're doing the same thing other places. These are just like, they just don't care. They're like, hell, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, the suffering and the damage and the violence and the death is literally the point. Like Pete Hegseth, our fucking Department of War secretary, that's disgusting. I'm actually kind of glad he changed the name, because this has nothing to do with defense. This has everything to do with aggressive, assertive death military action. Like all he wants, and he's gleeful. And when you watch his press conferences, he's gleeful about the lethality. He's gleeful about the death. When he talked about like the sinking of the ship, he's like, silent death. Mm-hmm. It's not silent when the torpedo hits the boat. And explodes.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a stupid fucking thing to say.
You're an idiot.
And like Sri Lanka is nowhere near Iran. This boat did not pose a danger to anybody. We're not at war.
Yeah,
we did not declare war, man.
Yeah. It's unarmed.
Yeah.
So you basically just, it's like somebody gloating. They went into like a kindergarten and they like they like broke the jaw of a kindergartner.
Right.
And they're looking over him and they're like, silent death, motherfucker. How do you look at that person and be like, oh man, you're so tough, dude.
Right.
You're such a big guy. Oh man, way to go. Way to punch a 5-year-old in the face.
Yeah. Well, Pete Hegseth too, is in a press conference this last week. He's like, this is not a fair fight. It was never intended to be. And you're like, okay, what are we doing, man?
Yeah.
Like I understand that like war is often asymmetric. Like I get that. I'm not, I don't have any illusions about that. But like, what are we doing with all of this? Like, what are we hoping to, if we don't have goals and that we're trying to achieve that are actually achievable, then all this silent death stuff is so you can get a fucking boner about it, man. Yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's so fucking he can hide his stiffy behind the podium.
Well, it's not silent death when it comes to a school in Iran, which we blew up.
We did.
And the New York Times was reporting this, and the press secretary was pushing back and saying it was like fake news and that there would still be a full investigation, et cetera. But basically, what do you think happened? Do you think somebody like stored the lunches wrong? Like, what do you think happened that blew the school up? What would you possibly think?
Do you want? Well, I listened to, I think maybe the Daily this morning, and they were talking about the reporting, and it is so fucking. Well, here's what it seems like happened from what I just listened to this morning. So this school is adjacent to an Iranian naval base, and this building used to be part of the naval base, but in 2013. They rebuilt everything.
Feels like a long time ago.
It's a long time, man.
Feels like a long time.
Long time.
Let me count on my fingers.
Yeah. How many years is that, buddy?
That's 13, possibly. It could be 12, but it's 13 years.
So they rebuilt it. This is they rebuilt the entrances, the exits of the base. This building was repurposed into a school. It had public entrances and exits. It was outside the perimeter of the naval base. And they did not update their satellite imagery that they were using to identify targets.
They should have sent that little car that Google has.
Yes,
that little thing on the top. That'll fix everything.
We're using satellite imagery that's a decade plus out of date to identify targets.
Wow. Okay.
Why would you do that? Why?
All I ever hear from anybody whenever you mention Obama is that he drone strike a wedding.
Yeah,
that's all I ever hear.
That's all I
ever hear. All I ever want to hear about Trump from now on is that he cruise missiled a bunch of kids.
Yeah,
that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. That's the narrative from now on. You cruise missiled a bunch of kids. That should be your legacy. Because Obama's legacy is, and rightfully, he drone strike a wedding. Okay, yeah, he did, and that's awful and terrible, and it should have never happened. And it's absolutely abhorrent that it happened. Absolutely agree. But this is a bunch of kids dead because they didn't bother to look up. They didn't. Nobody in that room raised their hand, was like, hey man, you guys think people can build a building in 13 years that's different, or maybe change the structure into something else?
Dude, the idea that we have 13-year-old or 10-year-old or just old at all images, satellite images that we're using to identify targets for these things. Why? Literally, why? We have so much of this technology. We have so much fucking technology. We have images like my house, my stupid fucking nothing burger house. I was a new construction house. It was built 2 years ago. It's been updated in Google Earth. When I first bought the house, it was a plot of land because they hadn't constructed the house. So when you put my address in Google Earth, it was just a plot of land. It has since been updated so you can actually see the structure of my house. That's not even important. And nobody's like making an order saying, hey, go take pictures of Tom's house. If you're like going to send missiles into a foreign country like an adversary, they can take pictures when they need them. They could just do that whenever. They can get updated images anytime they want them. And they just didn't.
Well, this is a great time to try. Mind your own f***ing business. With Mind Your Own f***ing Business, you'll be able to grow the f*** up and act like a decent f***ing human being. Our patented technology allows you to pull your head out of your ass and see the world beyond the brim of your MAGA hat.
This is from LGBTQ Nation. GOP senator allegedly breaks Marine's hand during protest against Iranian war. Did you watch this video?
It's I don't want to watch it with the people because it's graphic in the sense that like he breaks his hand.
You can hear a crunch. Yeah. It's bad. I watched this.
But essentially, there's a guy who basically says there's a genocide going on, and doesn't think that we should be at war. And he gets grabbed by two people that are supposed to take people out there, the security in the venue, and there's a senator there. Or a congressperson, I'm not sure, I can't remember which one he is. And he sees this happening. And so he decides to insert himself and pick this guy up and start dragging him out. Well, the guy tries to hold on and wedge his hand into something. And this guy just fucking brute forces, pulls him and breaks his hand.
Yeah.
And then goes on to call him like a deranged individual and hopes he gets help. It's disgusting. And I just wish there were some sort of repercussions. This isn't your job, right? It's not your job. Imagine if there was something going on with somebody who was, having a seizure or something, and a couple of cops were, trying to hold them, and you went over and you kneeled on their neck.
Yeah, right.
And you killed them, right? Should you be liable for killing that person when it's not your job to do it? And I think you should, right? You're not trained to do any of this stuff. You just chose to insert yourself in there to be the big man in the situation, to drag this guy out because he's saying things you didn't want to hear. Well, now you hurt him, and you hurt him pretty bad, and there's no repercussions for it, none whatsoever. In fact, this guy's going to get charged.
Yeah, and just to be very clear, when and I know this isn't right, but when the cops grab you and detain you and push you to the ground, all that stuff. They have an explicit legal authority to do that. You can't just join in the fun.
Yeah.
Now you're assaulting somebody because you don't have any explicit legal authority to perform that same, detention or arrest. So this senator is literally just committing assault.
How would they feel if somebody came into a Democrat like AOC and they had a MAGA bullhorn and they were screaming, and a couple of police officers were holding the guy and trying him out, and a bunch of people just jacked the person in the face a bunch of times.
Right.
How would they feel about that?
Yeah, right.
How would you feel about that? Would you think that's a proper use of force by the people who are around there? Or if AOC fucking did a ninja kick on the guy?
Yeah.
Would that be okay? Is that all right? Is that what you would? They can never put themselves in that situation. They can never be like, well, what if I was on the other side of this? What if somebody who I think is in the right was doing something like this? What would happen? what would happen to my brain if that happened to them? How would I feel about this? What kind of rule do we need that doesn't choose a side, but instead is a rule for everybody? What's that rule look like?
Yeah, man.
And they never can do that.
No.
They instead can only go for the way in which their selfish brain thinks, and then reject everything else.
Yeah. This is okay because they did it.
Yeah, it's okay because our side
and
did
it. That's how their morality works. It's like everything, all this political shit that they're doing is obviously only okay because they're doing it. When this senator assaults somebody, it's okay because he's a senator.
Yeah.
But it's not just because he's a senator, it's because he's my senator. He's a Republican senator.
Yeah.
So it's okay to assault people. Because you're right. Like if it was just some random Joe that did the same thing, they'd be arrested.
They'd be arrested for it.
Why does a senator get to does they get an assault card?
Yeah. I think you should force somebody to arrest them, right? Like use the levers of government if you get back in to be like, no, that person needs to be arrested or we're going to cut off your funding or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you need to arrest that person and you need to charge them and they need to go to court or we're just going to cut your funding off.
Yeah. We don't get to just like run in and be vigilantes.
It's the thing is like they are treating the government as if it doesn't exist when it's anything that is going to in any way shackle them.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. So, and they've been doing that since the beginning of his presidency. They've been essentially ignoring any of the pressures that the government would put on them.
Right.
And so this isn't going to get any better.
No. Well, I mean, I think what they've done is they've pointed out that like, if you control the enforcement mechanisms for government, so if you control the police and the executive branch and the arms of the government that are designed to enforce the laws, then what that means is you don't have to follow the laws. Because if you don't, there's nobody to enforce them.
Yeah.
So I think very smartly, they've figured out that the first and most important tool to gain control of is not the legislative branch. It's the enforcement branch. And as long as they control all those enforcement arms, then like there is no repercussions.
And I think that's a great point, Tom, because how over the years, how often have we seen them try to court the police union, try to court all the police officers, push the police officers to be more and more conservative. And we've seen that shift. The military too.
Yeah.
They've done their job to make it. Like I think that might be the way in which you break this is that you go after those people to try to convince them that that's a bad thing.
Right.
You're on their side and you want to try to help them somehow. Because I don't know how, because they're all bastards.
I don't know how either. Yeah. Because like what you have essentially is governance at gunpoint.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'll have the Ike and Tina tuna.
Plate or platter?
I don't understand the question, and I won't respond to it.
We talked about this a little bit last week. Independent, Trump fires Kristi Noem as DHS chief, and then she thanks him for new Shield of the Americas job. That's not a real job.
Well, I mean, it's certainly going to pay her something. Maybe she can still siphon $143 million out of it.
Jesus Christ. Literally, it's a made up, nobody even knows what it is.
Yeah.
It was made up. She wouldn't have even known what it was. It's just like, hey, help protect the Western Hemisphere.
The best part is that her replacement is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen.
That's one name. Mark Wayne.
Hi, y'all. I'm Billy Bob Thornton.
Okay. Well, you say it like that, you're discounting that he is not college educated and he's a former MMA fighter.
My favorite part about this guy is there's a clip going around, and it was something we talked about when it first happened. But there's a union guy, and he's talking to this senator, and the senator and him are going back and forth. And the senator says, "Will you want to step outside?" And the union's like, "Sure, I'll step outside." And then the senator goes, "Well, you stand your butt up." And the union guy goes, "You stand your butt up." And they're like, "Oh, you want to go?" And then he's like, "Yeah, I want to go." And like, it's a fucking, they turned the Senate into the fucking parking lot of the Waffle House.
Dude, yeah.
He's like, "Fuck, you want to go? You want to go? You want to go right now? You want to go? We'll be back. We'll be back." It's so
and then Bernie Sanders has to calm everybody down.
Fucking cringe, dude.
It's so bad.
That's that guy.
Yeah.
That's your guy. It's like, "Do you want to go, guy?" That's your guy.
That's it. That's our DHS chief.
Jesus Christ, it's Marky Mark with poor impulse control. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, man. This is crazy. Like, we are literally at a place, Cecil, where there's going to be a UFC fight in the White House, Our DHS chief is an MMA fighter without any fucking college degree or background in this whatsoever. He owns a, like, just so that people understand, I'm not shitting on him because he doesn't have a college degree. I'm shitting on him because he's unqualified. He doesn't know anything about this job. He owns a plumbing company. That's his background. He was an MMA fighter and he owned a plumbing company. Then he was like, I'm going to run and I'm going to be a senator. He ran. He became a senator. Now he's the fucking DHS chief. And he's a DHS chief because the last person who was unqualified, the fucking dog murdering weirdo that was in charge before, the only reason she got fired is she pissed off Trump by being like, yeah, Trump blessed this $200 million spend. He said I could spend it. And Trump was like, wait a minute, I don't want to get in trouble for that. Can't use my name. And that's why she got fired. Not because she was fucking her underling or whatever. Not because she fired. Did you hear about her firing the pilot on her airplane?
Yeah, so they fired him, but then they had to hire him really quickly back. What was the interview process the second time?
This is so funny, guys. So she's such a like horrible, vindictive, petty, shitty human being that like they landed this airplane and they had to like change airplanes because there was some mechanical issue.
Is this verified?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen this reported.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
So they landed the airplane.
Because I saw it in like some fucking like.
Oh no, this is like legit.
All
so they landed the airplane. They had to change airplanes because there was some mechanical issue. The pilot did not remember her blanket.
Yeah.
She had her own special blankie. So the pilot didn't remember her blanket. She was so fucking mad that she didn't have her special blankie that they fired the pilot. But then they didn't have a pilot to get home.
Yeah.
So they had to rehire the pilot so they could go back home.
It's
over
like,
a blanket.
It's like yelling at your Uber driver, canceling the Uber, and then pressing the button and being like, shit, it's a 15-minute wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's the same thing. Like we have one national embarrassment. Now we have a different national embarrassment.
Yeah. I mean, of course that happened. Though,
yeah.
Right? Of course that happened. These people they are not connected. And that's the thing that makes me crazy is that, you know, there's all this comment that like these are the common people, et cetera, that really love them, right? They can go to like a Trump rally. It's all just regular old people, right? Mm-hmm. These are people who are just real simple, 9 to 5, probably pretty average people. And they just fall in love with Trump. But then you see this person who is, like a fucking bridezilla, basically, right? Somebody who's like so caustic and shitty and entitled that you would think it would turn someone off.
Right.
You would think that this level of entitlement that you're seeing from some of these people and this, blatant misuse of funds for, the smallest FBI director in history to go travel somewhere and then travel back, you would think that blatant use of the office for their own gain would trigger something, because these are people who can get super worked up over what's in your cart when you're on Snap.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
These are people who are ultimately the most judgy, shitty people in the world. I mean, if you look at middle America, right, your average 9 to 5 guy, these are people who would kick their trans kid out of their house. They're the most judgy people in the world. So, but somehow they can see something like this happen where somebody is literally siphoning off money, and it's reported over multiple news outlets, broken by ProPublica, and then multiple news outlets find that she's essentially siphoning money to a company that nobody's really heard of for something that shouldn't cost as much as they're charging.
Right.
And nobody says anything. She fires people petulantly for a blankie.
Yep.
This guy uses his private jet that's for the office to do personal shit all the time, assigns security to his girlfriend specifically, and you're just like, none of that stuff should be coming out of our pocket, and they don't seem to care. But they're going to go line item somebody's fucking soda purchase when they're on Snap.
Yeah. And these are supposed to be people, too, remember, that are these like huge moral judgy judgers.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And like Kristi Noem is married.
Yeah.
Corey Lewandowski is married. Kristi
Just
Noem,
not to each other.
Yeah, not to each other. Kristi Noem was asked in the congressional hearing, hey, are you fucking Corey Lewandowski? And she's like, I'm not answering your question because it makes me feel bad.
I'm not going to dignify that with an answer.
And her husband was sitting behind her.
Nice.
In the hearing.
Nice.
Corey Lewandowski also was like...
maybe he's into it. I mean,
Right, yeah.
Look, he could be in.
But all those middle America people,
Yeah.
right? They're supposed to be you can't do everything that like somebody does if you dyed your hair blue is immoral, you know? And like these guys are like stealing and committing adultery and like doing all this stuff that like they're supposed to have an issue with, but they don't because they've never cared about that stuff.
Yeah, never once cared.
They've never really cared. All that stuff is fucking window dressing for them to get their agenda done.
Yeah, or to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like the thing is like the people who would be upset about something like that are only ever upset about it performatively because it makes you feel bad.
Yeah, or they're upset when you do it, but if I get the abortion, right, then there was a reason for it. And if my DHS secretary is doing it, I'm sure there's a good reason for it, right? Because when my team is doing it.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's only immoral when the wrong guy's doing it.
That's right.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Hello! My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Stop saying that! Oh. Hello! My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die! No! Offer me money. Yes. Power to promise me that. All that I have and more. Please. Offer me everything I ask for. Anything you want. I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
This is from PBS. How Trump's Save America Act would reshape voting and why critics are concerned.
Yeah, so basically this act would require people to prove citizenship. And this is the thing that a lot of people, when they talk about voter ID, don't understand, is that, one, getting an ID for somebody a lot of people think it's trivial. It's more work than necessary. But what people don't ever get whenever they talk about voter ID is the point isn't necessarily for you to have an ID. The point is so that they can look at your ID and tell you no, right? So they could be like, well, this isn't the right one, or this one isn't, this isn't one we're using, or whatever it is. And so that they can then throw it out, which is what they're trying to do here. They're trying to say like a driver's license isn't good enough, right? That's not good enough. What we want, they want to skip over just having a driver's license. They want to go to passport. Well, passport costs you money. That's now a poll tax. I got to pay a poll tax in order for that. Or I've got to have my birth certificate with me. And then other forms of identification to prove that I'm that person. So there's multiple steps that I've got to do to get that thing. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I guess some places don't require you to travel down there. You can get it through the mail from some jurisdictions. It depends, I guess, on the jurisdiction. But so your birth certificate you can get in certain cases,
in certain places, yeah.
But yeah, like this is extra work, more time, more effort to go out and have this stuff with you so that you can do what we call a basic right. That's if it's a basic right, why do I need all these other conditional things attached to it?
Well, I think like this feels so much like a means reductions attempt. Like we know with certainty that if you make things even a little bit harder, if there's a little friction in the system, that people will be less likely to do the thing that they were otherwise going to do. And this is like true of all kinds of different parts of human nature. So like one of the like most famous things that I've read is that there was a spate of suicides among farmers in India, and one of the ways that people were committing suicide was by consuming this very poisonous pesticide. And they changed the pesticide to a pesticide that was nowhere near as poisonous and wouldn't be as effective of a way to kill yourself. Suicides went way down. And people would always say, well, why? People just choose another method. But that's actually not how people work. And everybody who's in sales and marketing understands that one of the most important things that you want to do is reduce the amount of friction between the consumer and the purchase. If you make things one extra step harder, you'll reduce the amount of people who are willing to take that extra step. If you make it one extra step easier, more people buy your shit.
We know that because Patreon changes their model every once in a while.
Any little amount of friction, even if it's like, well, there's an easy workaround. Yeah. People are not built like that. No. Even for things that they're highly motivated for. And we know this. And that's why means reduction is a significant way to make change on a population level. And I think that what they understand here is that if they make voting a little harder, a little more of a pain in the ass, a lot of people who otherwise would vote just won't vote. That's the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is to get, not even just to get, the goal was never to get undocumented people not to vote. That was always fake.
They don't.
The goal is to get you not to vote.
Yeah. I think, well, and you're right. But I also think like this is taking 3 steps forward. Whereas before it was like, oh, we're going to have voter ID. And the voter ID might be like, a piece of mail or something where you live or something. Or, because if they did something like that, that would be a lot easier than go to a place and get a thing, which is another layer, right? So like, let's say they started saying you need a state ID or a driver's license. That's another layer I've got to have on there. Some people don't have state IDs and driver's license, but even if you did, like, let's just make the argument that like, okay, in order to participate in this democracy, you need to do that. I don't want people to send me a message and be like, well, that's the point. That's what I know. That's the fucking point.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I'm saying for the sake of argument, let's say that that's the next step that they took, but they're not taking that step. They're going over that step into another area, which is now you've got to take time out of your day in order to find. So that's time is money. So you got to spend money or time to find your birth certificate, have that ready, and then have another photo ID that they will accept, which they could be very finicky on, right? They might not take a school ID.
Right.
So it might be that they're like, you come in with a school ID and they're like, oh, we're not taking school IDs. And you're like, well, I don't drive here, so I don't have a driver's license that's local. I only have my state one. They're like, well, we won't take anything that's out of state.
Right.
Okay, well, now what? Well, now I've got to go get a driver's license the day of voting, or I've got to figure out that out ahead of time. Even if I don't drive here, well, whose car do I use when I go do that? Because I need my own car to go do a driver's test or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's other things that would necessarily have to be, there are other obstacles that are involved there. So they're not just taking one step.
Yeah.
They're taking like 3 steps forward to try to eliminate this sort of thing. And this would be a nightmare for people who might have changed their names, people who have changed their genders. That's also very calculated, right? So all these things matter, and they all make it harder and make it more difficult and make it so that you just look at the poll, the voting booth, and you think, is it worth it this time?
Right.
Is it worth it? If I'm a trans person, is it worth being harassed by the poll worker there about my gender when I hand them my ID? Is it going to be worse for me? Is it going to be embarrassing for me to stand there while they're questioning who I am in front of everybody else, while they're calling out who I am? Of course it's going to be awful for you, right? So I think like they're specifically trying to, like you say, there's definitely a reduction, but I think that they're cranking that throttle.
I think I totally agree. There's not a little friction they're adding maximum
as much as they
friction.
can. As much as they can.
You know who else will be really disproportionately affected by this? I mean, obviously we talked before about like what a dramatic impact this has on women, specifically women who changed their name and have been recently married or, have to have a name change, maybe divorced. Yeah. Like women are disproportionately affected. Also the elderly. I can tell you from personal experience, like in my job, one of the things we have to collect at every transaction is an ID. So many people have no idea that are elderly that their IDs are expired. Expired IDs is not an ID. So if your ID is expired, it's the same as not having one at all. In many cases. So, and I cannot tell you how many people come in to like buy or sell a house, like an important thing, and they've not had a need to look at their ID in so long. It has expired years and years ago because maybe they're not driving anymore. So they just,
or maybe they are, they just didn't pay attention.
Yeah. But like, if you're just like not driving anymore or, you haven't driven in a long time, like, why do I need an ID? Like no one's carding me. You know what I mean? Like it is like,
yeah, when was
40%
when was the last time you showed somebody your driver's license?
Yeah.
When was the last time? Think about the last time.
Only when I got a ticket.
You have to show somebody your driver's license. Yeah. So last time I had to show somebody my driver's license when I was applying for something online, and it was specifically an AdSense thing for a YouTube page.
Sure.
Like that was the last time that I did it. I didn't do it any other time. Like I can't remember the last time that I used my driver's license for anything other than that.
Yeah, it's totally useless. So there's going to be all of these groups which are going to be disproportionately impacted, and they're all marginalized groups. All of them. They like none of these are the mainstream, guys that the Republicans, well, who do they want to have vote? They want like white landowning males to vote, right? That's who they want to vote. That's not the groups that are going to be demographically most affected.
And they're probably not going to be as, like, the other thing too is like, they're not going to be as shitty to people who are, that are in their group, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to be as shitty to those people, and they're not going to turn those people away. And they're not going to, they might, your thing's expired. Well, that's fine. You can just vote.
Well, and also think about like how much more time it will now take to vote and how much longer those lines are going to be.
Sure.
Because when I go now, unless they dramatically increase the number of poll workers, if you've got I know like this is like something that happens to me in my workplace all the time. Like if you have something that has to be done and it now takes 31 seconds to do it, and I increase it to 45 seconds, it seems like nothing. But that 45 seconds is iterative times the number of people that show up. And you've now created a backlog of time that can stretch hours and hours long before anybody blinks an eye.
There was tiny little things, little wrenches in the polling place I was at downtown would turn that line into a 45 to an hour and a half minute wait.
Yeah.
Tiny little things would throw it off. So yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right.
Somebody having to like scan through, okay, what did you bring? Well, I've got my marriage certificate, my birth certificate, and my driver's license.
They got to look at each one.
And
it's not like they can just be like, okay, that's good. They've
Right.
got to be like, what's the name on this one? This isn't simple stuff.
And you got to train all those poll workers, and like who's paying for that?
This is specifically put in to make it harder for you to vote. And I know there's I listen to Joe Rogan. So every fucking time this comes up, he's like, I can't even steel man why you would not want voter ID. I can't even steel man it, is what he says over and over and over again. It's because he never thought of it. He never thought about it. And never once thought about it. He thinks it's so people can trick people into saying they're somebody else to vote. But that is such a tiny amount of, even if you were to do that, it's one vote.
Yep.
Like it's nothing. I'd have to go to multiple. I think about it like this. Let's say I'm a nefarious guy and I got a hold of a person's name in each county nearby. And I'm going to go cast a vote for Kamala Harris in the next election. And I'm going to do it by pretending I'm that person.
Mm-hmm.
So I've looked at their signatures because we don't require voter ID, and I've mastered their signatures. So I had to do that ahead of time. Now I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to travel to each one of those places to say I'm so-and-so, use their ballot, and then I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to travel to another county to take that vote and to do that throughout the day. Or let's say I do it, I do it in multiple different polling places, even in the same county. How much time do I have to spend traveling from place to place? Because if I go back to the same place I went to earlier today, they're going to know me. And if I collect a bunch of ballots and I send them in, and then someone else goes to the polling place when I stole their ID, they're going to be like, oh, those don't match. There's checks and balances in place to stop all this stuff.
Very simply, it's why they've never encountered, despite having all the tools of the government to use at their disposal, they've not encountered or uncovered any massive voting fraud at all. It's like 0.02%.
There's no Ocean's 11 type scam that you can do to somehow influence. The way you would do it is be a poll worker and like destroy ballots or something, right? Like that's how you would do it, is like you would be somebody who would be involved in the actual counting of the votes, and you would have to do it on a big scale in a big place where there's a ton of people around you. Like if you're in the middle of somewhere, like Chicago or something, and then you're like, oh, I accidentally burned all the Trump ballots.
Well, yeah, and it's like even all of that, the personal risk against potential impact calculation doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Every time you interfere with the election, each moment of interference is a felony.
Yeah.
So like, let's say in your first example, I drove around to the 7-county region in the Chicago metro area. I voted 7 times. Okay. I've had
hell, let's say it's 70, Tom. Let's say you did it 10 different people each section, and you went to 10 different polling places each place. First off, I don't think you go to 70 different polling places in a day, but let's just say
let's just play. I've still had on a scale, on a statistical level, I've had no impact on the election. I've had no impact.
None whatsoever. And not in a real sense, right?
Statistically, I've had no impact whatsoever. You can't even write down the number. It would be absurd that those 70 votes in Illinois counted as. So I've had no impact, but I am risking a dozen I'm risking like a lifetime in jail, felony after felony after felony after felony after felony. Why would anyone do that?
Well, and even if like, let's say that there was some mastermind that had 500 people that did this sort of thing. Are we expecting that those 500 people are going to do 70 votes on their own in that same day? Right? Are we expecting that that's what they're going to do? Why have none of those 500 people come forward and said, hey, this guy coerced me to do it or paid me to do it, and then get that person in trouble? Why haven't we seen anything like this? Right? If you're saying like it's like this massive amount of voter fraud, where is it? Like, where is it? They did a search for it. They hired their own guys. They went out and they went all the way to Japan to hire cyber ninjas. And they couldn't find anything, man.
Well, to be fair, they just do shurikens at all the machines and damages them.
Actually, they were discs. They were CD-ROMs that they sharpened up, and they
just CompuServe discs from back in the 90s.
$400 off. $400.
Hey, Carlos, the game's over. Your career as an international terrorist has been well documented.
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
No. I sell cars. That's all. Come on. I'm not a terrorist. I'm actually a complete coward. If I ever saw a gun, I'd, oh, God, oh, please don't kill me. I'm not a spy. I'm nothing. I'm naval lint. I have to lie to women to get laid, and I don't score much. I got a little dick. It's pathetic. Oh, God, oh. Would a spy pee himself, huh? Oh, God.
NBC News Senator John Cornyn flips on the filibuster to pass Save America Act as Trump weighs endorsement.
Yeah, he's afraid of his seat.
Yeah.
And he wants to get the Trumpers down in Texas to love him. So he wants to try to appease Trump right now. And he wasn't for it before the election. And now he's like, man, I really want to beat Paxton in this special election. So I guess maybe I'll say yes. I don't know that they still have enough votes for this.
Yeah.
But scary if they do flip the filibuster, because then you got 3 years of them having no filibuster.
I know, man. And this just goes to show, when I was reading this story, I was immediately like, this just shows you that none of this is about principle.
Yeah.
None of this is about what people actually think or believe. So when people stand up and they tell you what they think or believe, you should not care about that at all. That's nothing. It's only what people do. It's only what people do when they're in politics. It has nothing. All the rest of that stuff is just bip bullshit. It's fucking chihuahua barking. It's nothing. This guy does not have a strength of principle. He's not about anything. He doesn't stand for anything. He was opposed to the filibuster, to breaking the filibuster, until all of a sudden now he has something to personally gain if that happens. Come the fuck on,
My
man.
abortion is the most ethical abortion.
Exactly it, dude. Fuck you.
My abortion of justice is the most.
I want to start an abortion company called Abortions of Justice.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that actually sounds like
Sounds great.
That actually sounds great. Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Really sounds like a nonprofit that has some wheels. This is a guy, though, that's afraid for his seat.
Yeah.
And this is the problem, too, with people being attached to their seat, with people fighting for this job instead of fighting for the people. And what should be is I fight for the people and they save my job, right? If I fight for the people right, and I do right by them, then a majority of the people, and they vote me back in, then I did all the right things I was supposed to do, because that's what I was supposed to do, right? I was supposed to do the things that got me voted back in.
Yep.
So yeah, I think like if you do those things and your policies are the best and your positions are the best, great. But we've created a system where they can't even show any of that stuff because nothing happens.
Yeah.
So we've created a stagnated system that doesn't allow them to go back to their constituents and say, I did all these things, because they didn't do anything.
That's really important. I think I hadn't thought about that, but I think it's really important. When you don't achieve anything, what do you hang your hat on?
Yeah. And you hang your hat on relations.
Yeah.
Right? This is relational.
Oh my God. I am never going to financially recover from this.
This story's from Fortune. Conflict triggers unprecedented supply disruption. So this is the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. About 1/5 of the world's oil supply travels through that strait. Iran controls that. It's sandwiched between Iran and the UAE. And it's like an enormous choke point. It's only 21 miles across at its largest point. and most of that is not navigable. So it's very easy to close that off, and it's essentially closed off right now. And it's a fucking train wreck. The cost of oil is surging right now. So I think futures went up at one point to $120 for a barrel of oil. They've come down a little bit from their high, but like they're absolutely surging. The oil was about $70 a barrel when this started.
What's interesting is I thought I saw Trump this week talk about how maybe we would have to remove some sanctions on some countries. Are there any oil producing countries that have sanctions on them right now?
Let me think. Russia.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That's interesting. What would they use that money for, you think?
Let me think. What would they use it for? I don't know. Maybe the Ukraine war, to attack Ukraine and destroy.
Seems like a bad call. It doesn't seem good.
Terrible.
Yeah. Why would you back yourself into that position?
Dude, every day since this happens.
You just hold Ukraine there and I'll back into it. Amazing.
Every day since this happened, Putin is just getting up and jerking off to it. He's just like, oh, God, I love it so much.
Send me another barrel of oil in here. I'm burning through it. Amazing.
And like, the other thing that's happening too is these oil producing countries that use the Strait, they are not only not able to use the Strait, but they're also having to shut down their oil production because they've run out of places to store the oil that they can't ship. Yeah. And the problem when you shut down the oil production is it can't turn it back on very easily. So it's not like you go out and you just flip a switch and you're like, oh, I'll just flip the switch the other direction. That's not how these things work. In some cases, that can render, like turning the oil well off can deplete the pressure and you may not get pressure back. So that well may not be able to be brought back online without a huge investment of time and money.
Sure.
So like, and then same is true in these refineries. When you turn off the refineries and you have to shut off these refineries, it's not a quick and simple process to turn these refineries back on. So even if the Strait reopens tomorrow, once these countries stop producing oil because they've stockpiled enough, it can take weeks or months for the oil that they're producing to come back online, which makes the impact of this oil disruption last longer than the actual disruption itself.
Will it last till the midterms?
I think it will last to the midterms, yeah. I am very, very pessimistic about this. I don't think that we're out of Iran this calendar year. I can't see how that could happen.
That seems cool and chill.
Maybe I'm wrong. I feel very pessimistic about it. I cannot see how that, maybe there's a path out. Maybe I'm being stupid, right? Because I'm looking for a path out that makes sense. But the thing is, like, maybe we just stop doing it.
Maybe the path is the friends we made along the
way. See, so I have had some dark thoughts since this thing started. Like, there is a part of me that's like, I don't know that Trump wouldn't use a nuclear weapon to end this war.
Oh no, I don't think that's out there. No, absolutely no. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah, I'm not convinced at all.
There is nothing in me that thinks that Trump wouldn't use a nuclear weapon tomorrow.
Yeah,
or at Hegseth's urging, use it.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand.
The thing I am seeing,
how do you get out of Iran?
The thing that I am seeing though is that he is sort of in some of the tape that I'm seeing, and it's hard because Trump doesn't have like one thing that he thinks.
Right.
Right. He's all over the place all the time. That's what dementia does to you, is you're just all over the place all the time. So he's all over the place all the time, and he'll make a statement sometimes that's very different than the statement he, like you suggested, later in the day. Right. But I did see him
when the sun goes down.
Yeah. So I am sort of trying to do a dodge, dive, weave, duck, and dodge about the blame on this and blaming it on other people. Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen this administration not know how to explain that they were sort of goaded into this by Israel, right?
Yeah.
Not know how to explain that to other people, right? To the press.
Mm-hmm.
So this administration knows this isn't super popular, not with their base, and nothing they do is going to be popular with the other side, right? Because the other side hates them for myriad of reasons. This is just a reason to jump on them. Even if you never cared about any of the foreign policy stuff, it's a reason to jump on them. So they've made so many enemies doing this. It's such a bad call. They don't know what to do now. And there's a bunch of people who do not like this. I mean, like, people who have been dyed-in-the-wool Trumpers don't like this.
Yeah. This is because, like, there's no upside to doing this. Like, oil. And the other thing to think about, too, is like oil prices are going to go up. We're going to see that first at the pump. So, like, people are going to see that at the pump. But keep in mind, too, that we are a petro state. So we are a petrochemical state. All of our food that we eat, the fertilizer, is petrochemicals.
All the stuff we ship in.
All the stuff that we ship in. Everything that you own that's fucking made of plastic, which, by the way, is everything.
Yeah.
Clothes that have artificial fibers are often, not always, are often petrochemical fibers. Petrochemicals run the whole world. So if you think inflation is bad now, this isn't just going to be about gas prices.
Give it a minute.
Yeah. They use the same fucking chemicals for all that shit, dude.
You know, sometimes I wake up at night down in the alley and wonder, is this hell?
The stories from NPR. Democrat Shawn Harris to face Trump-backed Clay Fuller in runoff to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So I want to put this on the big screen so we can look at it so you can see the actual numbers. The Democrat won more votes, but if you look down the line at all the different, like, 60 red people who were running and you add all those numbers up, it doesn't look like the Democrat wins. Right? If you add it all up, it does not look like, because you're at 43 to 40 are the two big ones. But the second red one there is 13,000. You're already at 53 if those two guys vote for the one guy at the top.
Right.
So it's not indicative that this seat's going to flip. I just want people to know that Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, the guy who got the most votes in the first run is a Democrat.
Yeah.
The guy who gets the second most, because they're going to now have that now they're going to have a next election because they're going to kick everybody else out. They're going to take the top two and they kick everybody else out. Now you only have the top two. And that's where I think the rubber is going to hit the road. And I don't think you're going to see this seat flip. I don't think you're going to see this.
I don't think so either. And I don't think like we should ever have thought that like a rural district like Marjorie Taylor Greene's in Georgia was going to flip. I will say the fact that it's even competitive feels like really good news.
It does. It does. I don't want to downplay that.
So like that's all that I take from this is like that seat should not have even been competitive.
Yeah, because it wasn't when Marjorie was in there.
Right.
It wasn't a competitive seat. It wasn't like there was, even when she was at her worst.
Right.
It wasn't at a competitive seat that people were like, oh yeah,
maybe
we can, funnel a bunch of money in there and that will flip it. No, that's not going to happen. It wasn't a thing that was going to happen.
I am hopeful, Cecil, for the midterms. I am scared for the actual day of the election.
Me too. If voting goes mostly unmolested, then I think that things could possibly turn around in the midterms.
I hope so, God.
And it could at least be a stagnation and a pushback against policies. You might not be able to change much, but you can at least stop him from doing any more damage and maybe stop him from like entering wars without your consent and things like that. That's important stuff, right? Important baffles to his power.
Right.
I don't think that if there's some major fuckery on that day, then it's all over. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's all over.
Yeah.
There's not going to be another, because I 100% think if he can fuck with the midterms enough, he won't step down in 4 years. If he's still alive, he will not step down in 4 years.
He just sticks around.
He'll say, I'm running again, and then he'll just count the votes and win, just like Putin does it.
God, I hope that fucking neck virus gets him, dude.
Yeah. Well, even if it does, then the next person's in charge, and they're just younger and more like, we let this zealot go for a younger, more robust zealot. And you're just like, well,
We've
that's
replaced your previous zealot with this younger zealot. Let's see if you noticed.
We noticed.
Yeah. He's fucking a couch right now.
We noticed. So it's not great. But if somehow people can keep their claws off the voting process, then there's a possibility that you can have some sort of pushback in, what is that now? 7 months? 8 months. So, yeah.
My kids are old enough. I've got 2 kids old enough to vote in the midterms.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Are they going to do it?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. They're going to, like, Donovan was able to vote in the presidential, and he was very happy to go. Finn just missed it. So, yeah, they both actually already asked me, they're like, when are the midterms? I'm like, they're in November, bro.
Yeah, November every year.
We are going together. It's a fucking family party.
Yeah, November every year.
So,
the other thing, too, is that they might start cutting off vote by mail, because that SAVE Act would also shift against vote by mail. So vote by mail might go. So I might have to go to the polls. I voted by mail again this time. Wonderful.
Yeah, you really like
Love it. And I had a great, Sarah and I sit down on Sunday morning. We had our coffee after breakfast and we open up the computer and start doing research. And we spend about an hour and a half looking at the ballot, figuring out what we're going to do, and then just go from there. So yeah, I found that if I can do it this way, I actually do the research. But often I would put the research off and forget sometimes when I was downtown to do the research, and I just show up and there's like fucking 60 judges. And I'm just
the
like,
judges is crazy.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So, I know you're allowed to bring stuff in, but I never did the research ahead of time.
Right.
So you're just like, well, I might as well have not, just because I can bring a piece of paper doesn't mean I'm going to do the work on that piece of paper.
It's that friction idea, man.
So having that ballot at home is amazing for me because I just sit down, open the computer and be like, all right, let's look up these stories on these people. Okay, well, this person is this person does this. And then we talk about it and then, we make our decisions, and it's pretty cool.
I'm such a shitty old. Like, I just like going to the ballot. Like, it just feels like, I don't know, almost like a holiday to me. Like, it feels like, I'm participating.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it's nothing. It's literally nothing. But I just like the feeling of it.
I think it's a cool feeling, and I did enjoy doing it. But I love the convenience of being able to be a really responsible voter.
That's objectively better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going on vibes.
I like the feeling, because I know for sure my ballot is 100% exactly what I wanted. Right. And I know that I've cast ballots in the past that were not that were just guesses sometimes.
I think I mentioned this on the show before. I remember asking my dad when I was 18, I was voting. I was like, what do you do for all these judges? And he's like, I just vote them all out.
To be honest, if that was an option for everybody, I would probably do it.
Yeah. My dad's just like, I don't know anything.
Let's just start them all up.
Yeah.
Let's start in a brand new system. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week. We'll have a patron show coming out a little later this month. And we'll have another show on Monday, but we're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter